Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Oneness Podcast. I am Jessica Delmar. In this episode, I want to talk about healthy boundaries. This was a question that came through a couple of episodes back. So let's talk all about boundaries. So a couple of episodes back, I spoke about the wounded masculine and feminine energy pathways. I had a couple of questions asking about how boundaries fit into the equation of divine masculine and feminine energies in terms of our ability to give and receive, our ability to express and receive energy. So if you haven't yet listened to that episode, go back and listen to it first in order to get a deeper understanding of this episode. So regarding boundaries, let's first talk about the reason people need to place or make boundaries in the first place. We have to understand that boundaries enact from an inner wound in some way. In other words, I feel this way, therefore I need to place a boundary in order to not feel this way or in order to protect how I do want to feel. Understandably, there is a spectrum when it comes to boundaries, but if you find yourself needing to create them, you must also become aware of the reasons why you feel you must create them in the first place, and that's what this episode is about. People believe that they create the boundaries to keep other people, places, or things out of their inner space in order to protect their space, right? But really, the boundaries are enacted to prevent an inner feeling from occurring, usually an unwanted inner feeling. So sometimes boundaries can be created to prevent yourself from actually being with the feeling because you're trying to prevent the things that trigger that feeling from entering into your space to feel it. Healthy boundaries are stepping stools, if you will, to help you gather the space to understand yourself more. And this is really important because as human beings, we do need space to process a lot of things. And so for a lot of people, they create the boundaries in order to create space, in order to process things, and in order to really kind of get a grip, a control in terms of how they feel internally. And so sometimes the physical space is necessary to put things into perspective and to release the grip of external influences upon your vibrational energy. This is part of processing. But I always advise people not to live dependent upon their boundaries, because boundaries are, in essence, an opposing energy to a limitless life full of possibility. Boundaries are essentially a form of resistance that you are putting up. And so you are energetically pushing up against something when you are creating those boundaries. And those boundaries can often become walls and become thicker and thicker and thicker walls to a greater possibility, right? You're not allowing that possibility to enter into your space. You're putting up a wall to prevent possibility. Because even if you created the boundary due to a specific condition, a person, place, or thing that did something or whatever that wasn't in agreement with you and your desires, there's always going to be possibility on the other side of that boundary, on the other side of that wall. But if you've got the boundary up, then you're less likely to find out how that possibility can come to be. Boundaries can also lead to blockages when we become not only dependent, but limited by them. Boundaries can also become a slippery slope due to the need to control your external circumstances, people, places, things, etc., in order to fit the way that you want it to feel. This is the opposite of unconditional. Creating boundaries is essentially a conditional practice, is a conditional thing. And it's also part of the need to control. So, if you'd like to lean more into an unconditional life full of possibility, full of limitless and infinite possibility, then you must begin witnessing your world through unconditional love. So, for me, I feel like the opposite of a boundary is unconditional love, and we'll talk more about this, but there's still sort of an energy of a presence enough in place to understand what you allow in or not allow in, right? Instead of having a boundary tell you what you are allowing in and not allowing in by drawing a specific line, in your presence, in unconditional love, you allow for your presence in each moment to tell you what you are allowing in or not allowing into your energetic space. And that's very powerful because you are being present with the possibilities of what is, rather than just saying, this is what is. I'm drawing a line and I'm not even allowing for the possibility to even enter into my space to feel whether this is something I would allow or not. So another way to look at this is, for example, if you are desiring to put up a boundary between you and someone else because they're not meeting your needs or your desires when it comes to the relationship, because of the way that someone else is behaving, acting, or being, etc., right? You're putting up the boundary because you cannot control the way that someone else is behaving, acting, or being. So you put up that boundary. But what if instead we chose to approach the situation with unconditional love? So the opposite of boundary being unconditional love. What if we were to approach the situation with unconditional love? We might actually begin to understand the bigger picture being presented or being offered in this situation, in this specific situation. And the bigger picture is this, that we cannot control what other people do to us, but we can control how we feel in any situation, and we can control what we allow and what we continue creating for ourselves. Again, the bigger picture is this, that we cannot control what other people do to us, but we can control how we feel in any situation, and we can control what we allow and want to continue creating for ourselves. Now, we know this internally. However, a lot of people perceive this knowing from a space of being hurt, right? They perceive this knowing from a space of their wounds. And if their wounds are saying, well, I can't control what this other person does to me, but I can control what I do, and so I am going to create this boundary. That's what a wound, that's a reaction from a wound, is to create the boundary. However, if we receive that knowing and we act upon unconditional love, we would understand that it's not the boundaries that we have to put up, but it's our ability to create that has to shift, right? So this goes into creativity. This goes into creation. Our ability to create does not depend upon boundaries. This is powerful. Our ability to create does not depend upon boundaries. Of course, we do create boundaries, but creativity on a larger scale in terms of creating your reality goes beyond boundaries. In many ways, boundaries, when we create boundaries for ourselves, actually limits the way that we create our reality. So we want to keep that in mind. Our ability to create depends upon our vibrational frequency. And the vibrational frequency of creativity is allowance. And the ability to receive all of the things that we want is built upon non-resistance. So we have to remember that our ability to create our reality relies on allowance and non-resistance. And so when we create boundaries, we are actually putting up resistance and we're pushing up against something, which is the opposite of creating a reality full of things that we want. Putting up boundaries creates a reality that keeps out things that we don't want. But that's an opposite vibration of creating a reality, allowing for things that we do want, right? Do you see the shift, the difference in those vibrations? I'll say it one more time. Putting up boundaries creates a reality that keeps out the things that you don't want. That's a negative energy. On the other hand, being open, being in a space of allowance and non-resistance is what creates a reality full of things that you do want. So you have to really understand where your vibration is. Are you trying to keep things out that you don't want, or are you trying to bring in things that you do want? People underestimate the amount of background energy it sometimes takes to maintain boundaries. To sift and sort what we want and what we do not want is not about creating boundaries to prevent the things that we do not want. Instead, it's about fine-tuning our vibrational frequency and our internal state of alignment so that we are naturally in the vibrational realm of all the things that we do want and not in the vibrational realm of all of the things that we do not want. Does that make sense? So again, we're fine-tuning our vibration to create our reality, and in fine-tuning our vibration, we align to the things that we do want rather than aligning to the things that we do not want. So in essence, our vibration starts to work for us. Our vibration will sift and sort these things for us, the things that we do want and the things that we do not want. But this takes practice. It's a process of understanding that you are sifting and sorting your reality of things that you do want and things that you don't want, instead of getting caught up in the things that you do not want and then pushing up against those things that you do not want. When you do that, you become more involved in the emotional roller coaster of the things that you do not want, instead of simply sifting and sorting your preferences to create your greater reality. So if you still find yourself in the vibrational realm of things and people who you do not want to be in your energetic space, then you must take a look at your vibrational frequency first. It is calling for a fine-tuning of some kind to help you sift and sort your experiences. When you put up a boundary, it's kind of like resisting the things that you don't want and keeping that resistance in motion in your background energy. Because again, it takes so much energy to maintain those boundaries of keeping the things you do not want out of your energetic field. So if you find yourself needing to create boundaries, we're not saying not to, but we are saying that boundaries are a great place to start in the realm of stopping or slowing down the momentum of an existing vibration that you do not want, right? Again, it creates space so that you can process exactly how you're feeling, why you're feeling that resistance, why you feel like you need to create that boundary in the first place, why there is resistance there for you, right? We're not just like hiding the resistance, we're really taking a look at it when we create some sort of space at first. That helps to process, it helps to sift and sort, it helps to slow down the momentum of something that has been in your vibrational reality that you do not want. It allows you to really see it. Because oftentimes we have things coming at us over and over and over again of what we do not want, and we don't realize that we are holding something in our vibration that's allowing for that thing that we do not want to continue coming. So in understanding what's going on in your vibration, you're able to feel what it feels like to slow that momentum down of whatever it is that's creating, that's pulling in things that you do not want. And you're creating space for you to begin conjuring new vibrational energy and momentum more towards the things that you do want. In this space of fine-tuning, it also allows you to sort of tune your channel without the distractions of things that you do not want. And so you're shifting the channel, you're changing the channel, this process of fine-tuning is tuning your energy, tuning your channel more into what you do want. Especially when the opportunity arises in your reality of things you do not want. That's the perfect time to change the channel, because you're seeing a direct evidence of a vibration that you're holding that you may not have been aware of before. Unconditional love will show you the wounds that you're holding within you that want to put up the boundary in the first place. Unconditional love will show you the wounds that you have within you that is reacting to how another person is making you feel. And so when you have that desire to put up a boundary, it's often the reaction from an internal wound. And so in releasing the boundary and in embracing unconditional love and allowing unconditional love to lead you through this experience, you're allowing unconditional love to reveal to you your wounds, but not only your wounds. You're allowing unconditional love to reveal to you the other person's wounds, or whatever the wounds are in the experience that was had. So unconditional love will make all of this known. It will give you greater perspective and greater observation of whatever is happening so that you can fine-tune your vibration, because unconditional love will reveal to you what's going on in your reality, because you are the creator of your reality. And if you want to shift whatever you're creating from the things that you do not want into the things that you do want, then you must have that greater perception. You must have that greater observation of what's going on. You must be made conscious of all of these things. And unconditional love will show you and will make those things conscious to you. And that will give you even not the control in the way that you want to keep things out of your experience, but it will give you control in terms of how you want to experience your reality. And that is where the huge shift occurs. So now in going forward, you are deliberately choosing the vibration that flows, intertwines, and molds your life together through non-resistance, through allowance, through open perception, through greater observation, through conscious observation. And this is what brings experiences, people, places, and things together that match that intentional and deliberate vibration that you are tuning to, instead of separating them. So boundaries separate energy. It creates more division. It creates more separation. It creates more resistance, versus unconditional love, which brings things together. It unifies. It molds together. So everything must change when you shift that perception, when you shift that vibrational frequency that you're holding, from creating a boundary to separate into embracing your reality through unconditional love. The people, the places, and the things on the other side of what was once a boundary will either fall away if they do not match your vibration, or something will change in the realm of possibility that will match a similar vibration to yours when you do come together, because it all has to change. And that's what came through for this episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for listening. Oneness, love, and peace be with you.